Hello guys, it's Michael and Josh here from Mixing Mango and welcome to this video. So with the recent updates to the combat beta, we thought we'd talk about the different things and also about legacy mode and how it's all coming together, and so far it looks really good.
Yeah, so we thought just firstly say how we think it's going, because for me personally, I actually really do enjoy the beta. I enjoy doing combat in the beta a lot more than the live game, to be honest. I really can't wait until they bring a lot of that stuff into the game. But they have done a lot of changes recently, so I think it's going really well. What do you think?
Well, yeah, personally I do like it. I have to say I do like it, but I don't really spend much time on it, mainly because it doesn't affect the live game, and I'm thinking, oh, if I'm killing like Bandos or Nex, I'm not actually getting any items, it's not really gaining anything. But yeah, it is really cool. Some of the things they've brought in, like 138 combat level, and some of the little hot fixes they made are really like trying to improve the EOC, which is really cool, and it makes it a bit more manageable and a bit better, I guess, when it hopefully comes in.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't really play it that much, but I mean the same reasons for you really. It doesn't count for anything. But from what I have played, I haven't really done many high level bosses. I just camped a bit of Bandos for a bit with Revolution, and then testing out some of the specs, and it has
Yeah.
been a lot of fun. Specs do bring sort of another element to combat, and it's just a lot of fun to use them. That'll probably wear off, to be honest. It's kind of just sort of, after not having them for a year, it's fun to play around with them. But I think
Yeah,
it
it's
is
reminiscent, isn't it?
yeah, but it is just nice to kind of mix up a bit with abilities and specs. And then if you add Revolution to that, it's you don't really have to click much. It's just spec every now and again, plus do some thresholds. So it's definitely looking really good. But
Well,
we thought we'd talk a bit about how this relates to pre-EOC, because the aim with a lot of the beta is to get it closer to pre-EOC and bring a lot of pre-EOC features back in, and we've seen that with combat level, with specials. I guess that's kind of it. I can't really think of anything else they try to do at the moment. But
no, me either. Yeah.
in terms of pre-EOC, it's not really there. I don't think it ever will be there. It's just, it doesn't really matter what they do, as long as there's abilities. It's not going to feel the same at all, really. I think that's the problem with it.
Yeah, because well, basically, unless they get rid of abilities, then it's going to always be the EOC. So there's no way to get around it. And but what they're trying to do is it's good, because they're trying to make it feel as much like it was
Yeah, it is
pre-EOC,
good.
but still using most of the EOC mechanics. Because I have to say, I know I'm not sure if you feel the same way, but I have to say I do enjoy it. I do enjoy the EOC. I like it a lot. I did play pre-EOC quite a lot, and I played EOC quite a lot, and I do enjoy the combat because it's exciting. It's well, not. I wouldn't say exciting, but it's different.
Yeah.
Okay, ability spamming is a bit annoying, but at the end of the day, I think some of the things I can do on the EOC I wouldn't have been able to do pre-EOC. So I just enjoy it a bit more than I did when I first started playing the EOC, and I hated it. But what they're doing at the moment with the changes, definitely kind of merging the two, pre-EOC and EOC, is, in my opinion, really awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, having a best of both worlds, I guess, is definitely the best way to go, and they're definitely getting somewhere with it. Specs are looking good. Obviously, the combat level's back as well, so they are heading towards pre-EOC, and obviously they're not going to remove evolution of combat or anything. They will just try and make it how people want it, really, and sort of just bring as much as they can from pre-EOC. But in terms of improvements and changes they could make, the one thing, well, I guess it kind of goes along with the whole pre-EOC thing. I would like to bring a lot more stuff back. Things like making prayer and herbal a lot more useful. Stuff like actually requiring shields. That kind of thing I'd like to bring back, just because even with all these changes, dual wielding still the best thing to do. Prayer and Herblore is not really a waste of 300 mil or so, but I mean it's not really a great investment anymore. Same as summoning, I guess. There's a lot
Well,
of things like that I'd like to change, kind of, I'd say.
I kind of disagree with Herblore. I think that's really important in overloads and extremes. But I guess prayer and
Well,
summoning,
yeah, maybe Herblore not as much.
you can go to most bosses with a tour, which is like an hour's worth of summoning running. So, and prayer, most people like use zealots or zealots, wherever it is. So
Yeah, like
I don't know. Yeah,
turmoil was 2% better than piety, I think, and
yeah,
like yeah, obviously with the zealots, it's like piety 6% better. The only reason to get curses is, well, obviously you do want the extra 2% just because it is extra DPS, but the main reason is soul split. That's
yeah.
pretty much what saves the curses at the moment.
And all the lovely leech prayers as well. Everyone
Oh
uses
yeah,
those.
everyone always using those leeches. But yeah, so that like I would like them to be buffed a bit. I mean, I doubt they'd ever buff it to the pre-EOC standard again, but stuff like Turmoil, a 10% boost down from like the 30% it was pre-EOC, that's like, it's just not enough, I would say, at the moment. It needs to be
Yeah,
probably like 20, something like that. And what I was talking about with shields is the fact that even while tanking, you don't need a shield, which kind of makes no sense whatsoever. Like, next tanking, the best method is dual tanking, same with KK really. So they really need to make it that if you are tanking, you will get hit a lot. Like, literally, if you aren't shielding, you could get like 2 hit, which means you actually need a shield for bosses. And so, like, it really separates DPSing and tanking as well. And that was something that was seen quite a bit more pre-EOC. I guess it was like there was no dual wielding, so kind of you always use a shield. But then there was like the tanking roles with a shield, and then people using defenders as well for DPS. So it'd be nice to see that back a bit more as well, like the different
yeah,
roles.
yeah. That would be cool. Well, yeah. Well, I guess for me personally, I'd like to see set effects like actually useful. That would be really cool because that will really help the wieldy if set effects are actually good again. I think we talked about this in a previous video,
Yeah, I
but they
think so.
really need to bring back set effects, like going into the wilderness and not having like some Darok switch where I can hit like a massive hit. Just won't be as fun. And also, I think they need to make specs more useful because I've been on the combat beta. I've used like Dragon Claw specs. They have buffed it a bit, but like I'm just never gonna have. I'm never gonna want to take a Dragon Claws to like next or something because I know I can hit better with, like something else, like just like using my normal Ascensions or Drygors. But they definitely need to buff some of the specs on the weapons.
Yeah, definitely.
Like some of the other ones, some of the old ones like Granite Maul and stuff like that, were really good ones back in the day. Also, I think I I'm not sure if they're going to do this, but I think have they released the fact that they're going to bring out specs for weapons that never had them? Like I know
Um,
they've done for some, but I meant like actual level 90 ones, like
I don't think
Drygors and
they've done it for
Ascensions.
anything at the moment, but I think they are planning it. If
I don't like the idea of that, to be
Well, if
honest.
they are going to bring out specs for them, they won't be damage specs. It'll be sort of like healing abilities, something like that. It
Oh,
won't be
okay,
too
fair enough.
powerful.
That sounds quite overpowered if you can heal with your Drygors as well as like do massive DPS. So,
Well, yeah, but I mean, like a sort of like a 20k spec would be a bit more overpowered for Drygor. To be
yeah, that's
honest,
true.
so, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what they'll do if they were 90 gear, but I think they do want to give them a spec. So I have to wait and see
Hmm.
what they do with that. But they did bring out the God spell specs and stuff like the Armadale Battle Staff. It didn't have a spec before. That now
Yeah,
has
yeah,
stuff as well. So that's quite nice because I think yeah, because they got rid of like the miasmic spells. I think it was along with the God spells. Those are all built into specs, which is quite nice to see. One other thing I just thought of that I want them to change is actually you mentioned it slightly. I think well you reminded me of it. I don't know what you said, but it's actually damage soaking and how I'd like them to go back to 990 HP if they actually improve damage soaking. And so like obviously at the moment if you go to Nex, if you're praying you can get hit for like a quarter of your life points. So they could go back to 990 HP, and so you'd just be hit like 300 or something now. And then it also like opens up more opportunity stuff like tank armor has more damage soaking and more life points, and then like you could actually like require stuff like next sets that have life point boosts for stuff like Virago. So I would quite like to go back to that. I mean, I like the whole 10k life points like is just meaningless really. The stuff you hit, it doesn't really matter in terms of like striving for max hits and actually just like knowing what the numbers mean. So it'd be nice to go back to sort of the basic
yeah. That'd
990.
be cool. Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of like all the improvements we want, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is really combat beta related, but I think they definitely need to make a use of some of the armors at the moment. Like, I was just thinking about it, stuff like the level 85 ports gear. I don't really think it's that useful, to be honest, because yeah, you can get it for free or you can get it for quite cheap with a GE. But I'd rather have pretty much the same life bonus and armor. In fact, I think it is the same armor, just a bit
Yeah, I
less
think
life
so.
bonus. But then like the damage as well on the level 90 stuff, and they're also only like 30 mil. Yeah, they did a grade to dust, but they're so cheap at the moment. I think it's just kind of pointless. They definitely need to make tank gear like something special, make it really high defense so that it's actually useful, and people won't just buy level 90 gear because it's just a bit stupid in my
Yeah, I
mind,
think
really.
the bosses hitting harder would kind of go with that. Like you need
Yeah.
tank gear, so like that would help as well. But okay, the next thing is PKing, because this is probably the main aim of the beta, to actually make PKing viable. And they did do quite a few PKing improvements. So like there's 15% damage reduction on everything if you're PKing. There's damage soaking with your defense level. Protection prayers protect 25% in PvP now. There's no adrenaline drain from eating, and adrenaline bars have been hidden, along with combat XP being gained from PvP. So quite a few changes there. All of them are really quite useful and good steps towards actually making PKing good again. But I think at the end of the day, like, its abilities, that is the problem
Yeah.
with PKing,
I think
really.
it's stuns. I think like I say this all the time, but stuns is like the biggest problem with the EOC, because you can use a stun and then you can use wild magic asphyxiate, and you can basically one hit someone before they've even like used freedom. Freedom
Yeah,
just
that's
takes
true.
too long to use, and then there's just too many stun abilities. I think they need to maybe make it so that you can't stun in the wilderness, but you have to use like a magic spell to stun, like they used to do.
Yeah, ice barrage and stuff.
Yeah, ice barrage. So I think they really need to address stuns. I think that's one of the worst things about PKing right now. So
I mean, you said remove stuns from the wildy, but I would just remove them like throughout the whole game. To be honest, there's no use in
yeah,
PVM
I
either.
guess so.
So
Yeah,
like I don't know, stuns aren't really.
unless they incorporate it into a new boss,
Yeah,
like the new boss that they're going to release sometime this year. So,
yeah,
but I
possibly.
don't know. Mm.
Stuns, yeah, they're not the best. I think they are looking at reworking stuns. I'm just trying to think like what they could do to improve it. And PKing is a lot more fun with specs now, because we did some of that like a few weeks ago when the beta first came out, and like getting those AGS specs and those declaw specs were actually quite fun to do.
Yeah,
But it's just like even if you think that it's not the same, and like kind of like the Rune Shark viewers, listen to them, like just take it as a different game, even then it's still not too fun to PK up abilities. So I guess Revolution PKing maybe is the future. I'm not quite sure what they could do with PKing really to make it
well,
really
I
quite
think
fun.
the problem is like I'm not sure if you talked about this. I think you talked about this earlier, but you just kill things too quickly. Like before, like when you're, let's say you had like a guy in full Derek versus another guy in full Derek with like whip and stuff. You'd have like some epic like 5 minute long fight where you're like, because you miss so much with the whips and
Yeah, you
stuff.
do.
You like hit constant zeros every now and again. You'd hit like a 300, but then you'd hit constant zeros. At the moment, when you're doing like PvP, you just die too quickly. Like you always constantly hit, even with really bad weapons. You always constantly hit, and you're always constantly eating. They really need to like address that to make PvPing and like wieldy like battles like epic like they used to be.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I'm not sure how they could ever do that because abilities are pretty much just overpowered. Yeah, they tried to do the 15% less like what you
Yeah,
like your accuracy is
yeah, less
50% or
damage.
whatever damage, yeah. But it just doesn't really help. It's not that much. You still constantly hit. They need to do something about the accuracy. I think that's it, because
Yeah,
it's just too overpowered at the moment.
it's hard to change that because yeah, it is fun if it's like even if you're not hitting zeros, if you're hitting just like maybe like 500s, and then you can just pull out like this massive
Yeah,
5k or something.
when you're getting people on the ropes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that would be a lot more fun than just the constant like 1Ks, 2Ks, and then like the 4K thresholds.
yeah,
So yeah, they definitely have to maybe tone down accuracy on weapons in the wilderness or something like that. But yeah, I would definitely prefer um, having just those big hits back again. Because I mean, PKing, there's not really too much strategy in it, and it always has been, and really kind of should be more luck based than anything. I think
yeah,
for standard
definitely. No.
PKing stuff like hybriding, there is quite a bit of skill involved with that. But for standard PKing, like there's not much tactics, so it is more fun just like hitting those big stuff really. Um, so yeah, PKing, like we don't really do much PKing, so we can't talk about that too much. But that's what we think on that. The final thing is just the combat beta and legacy mode, because obviously legacy mode is going to be released some point this year with the beta in the summer. But do we actually need legacy mode with the combat beta now that they are bringing back these pre-OC features? What do you think?
Um, Personally, I know you will probably do a lot of legacy mode, but I will probably never do legacy mode. I have to say, I've kind of got used to EOC now, and I actually really enjoy it. Yeah, it's a bit more chilled doing legacy mode, but bossing will just be harder using legacy mode. Slayer will just be slower using legacy mode, so I probably won't actually ever use it really.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think what they're trying to do with the combat beta is what they need to be doing. They need to perfect it, and they need to make it like effective and good. I don't really think they need the legacy mode personally, but you know, it'll be cool for the people who want it, and obviously a lot of pre-OCers want it. But I personally think that what they do in the combat beta is what like the future of RuneScape should be, really.
Yeah, I mean, I do want legacy mode, but the thing is, like, they have to change stuff across both systems for legacy to work, really, and that's kind of the main problem because they're not like willing to do that kind of thing. Stuff like
Yeah,
100% protection prayers, like old armor values and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to say like how it's gonna affect it. I mean, like legacy also brings back the old interface, and that's something that we definitely need. I do prefer the old interface. It's a lot
yeah,
less
definitely.
confusing for bossing, and I will definitely play legacy mode quite a lot. I I mean, as much as I can, I will play it over EOC, but for some stuff like Virago, you'll have to use EOC, so I'll obviously use it then. But yeah, I think legacy mode is still needed, but I think a lot of people that kind of want pre-OC will kind of just stick with the EOC if they do bring back all the stuff in the beta with the specs and all those other pre-OC
Yeah,
features,
true.
really. So that is pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to mention?
Not really, no.
Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this Comet beta video, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, bye guys.